The charges list for the Donald are out, and it appears that he is being charged for... Wait, not an insurrection? Well, we don't have the actual official transcript yet, but this is just what's coming in the letter for this, so we'll talk about this. And the propaganda that's putting it out, and the Daily Wire actually confirming what the propaganda puts out. So we will go over that, what's happening there, and what we do with this. 2 IRS whistleblowers testify in front of Congress today over the differential treatment of Hunter Biden in the DOJ. And, well, just like a good plant, Marjorie Taylor Greene takes the focus away from tax fraud, tax crimes, and the fact that the DOJ is looking into possibly finding a way to differentially treat Hunter Biden, and instead makes it all about Hunter Biden's penis. So we'll go over some of that. Viewer discretion is advised, by the way. Everything is censored, but it's still something that you really don't want to see. A federal judge clarifies that Trump was found to have raped E. Jean Carroll in the game of language semantics. And Lauren Boebert throws away a pin honoring a school shooting victim, with the left jumping up and down on themselves to be the first ones to report it. It's going to be all of this and more. I was the one flying the balloons. I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. There's like not a bad song on this playlist. There are a couple that I guess I don't like as much, but there really is not. I'm very, very impressed with everything that's on here. But we're not here to talk about the music tonight. We're here to talk about people who are facing the music. And we've got a lot more than what I talked about in the cold open. By the way, Disney is selling off a major swath of the IPs that it's acquired over the years, which means I think the big one that I'm kind of excited for at this point is number one. Well, two. Number one, of course, you guys know that Revenge of the Sith is my favorite movie ever. Not just my favorite Star Wars movie, but my favorite movie ever. But that does mean that I am myself a very, very, very big Star Wars fan, which, if they're selling back to Lucasfilms, number one, will we get a actual re-record and redo of episodes 7, 8, and 9 that actually fit the story? Oh yeah, no, these were not canon. These were Disney. We're not going to call these actual official canon anymore. And the big one for me, will we actually get a decent Mandalorian season or a decent Mandalorian storyline? Some things to think about. Honestly, I will say some of the good things about some of the stuff here. I do like Season 1 and Season 2 of The Mandalorian, obviously, but I will give credit where credit's due on Star Wars. I am a very, 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 very big fan of how Season 7 Clone Wars came out. What was done there, how it was done, and really, honestly, that was a masterpiece. I don't understand how they got everything else so wrong when they did that so perfectly. But we're not going to talk about my love for Star Wars right now. We'll do that on another stream at some point here. But we've got a ton to go over here today. Part of the reason I'm late, I did get out of work late today. A lot of calls came in right as I was getting ready to leave. And then, well, we've got a mountain of stuff on the stack today as well. So let's get into it. Let's get started. Let's get some friends in here. Tell at least one person about this every day, and we'll see if we can't grow to big numbers. Word of mouth is the only way that we can grow against YouTube's algorithms, so please help out if you like what you see. And also, the more chatter that you guys do, the more that we are featured on the front page, so don't be afraid to tell us how we feel. I'll react to some of the stuff live as we go. Some, obviously, because of YouTube censorship and algorithms, we cannot do, but I will react to some of this live. And as always, make sure you guys go check out great programming such as The Daily Ignoramus, The Breakdown with Birkenhoff, The R-Rated Conservative, The Porch Boys, Tweets by Brit, Mr. Behavior, The No Gimmicks Podcast, Silent Caster, Clown World Chronicles with Papa Palpatine, and Overruled with KTZed. Go check out all that great programming as we aim to bring you a better news experience and culture experience as well. From the common man, for the common man, that's right. Don't get your news from people who hate you, who wear suits that cost more than your house. Get your news from people who are just like you. And with that, we're going to get right into it. We're going to start with our finance today. I hope we fly right along with this one. Hey, look, that's me. And let's get started. We're going to start with the Dow today. The Dow is up 35,061 US. I'm sorry, this is not US dollars. I fall into that trap all the time because of the way I read the Bitcoin. 35,061 points. That is up 109.28 points, or 0.31% on the day. It was a modest gain throughout the day today, but this is the 8th straight day in a row. And yes, that is a crest of that 35,000 mark, giving the Biden admin a new 52-week high on the Dow, all the way up to 35 to 34.05. So a lot of people are starting to celebrate this and see where this goes. Looking in at your Bitcoin, which had a roller coaster day on trading from 6 p.m. last night until now. It rose overnight before falling back down and then kind of just bouncing around and staying. Now, it is up ever so slightly. Where it settled when I was looking at this happened to be just about where it was 24 hours prior, so it is at 29,867 US dollars and 70 US cents per coin. That is up $3.40 per coin. 0.01% on the day. So that is what we have on the Bitcoin. Your gas prices in Madison took another wild swing upwards today. We had some reprieve for a day and it is gone and then some. 340 the average across the Madison area, with an outlier 316, but everybody else seeming to be right directly at the 340 mark. Even as we zoom out and see, we've got a 330 entering the isthmus. The 316 on the isthmus that didn't move forever and ever is up to 320 at this point. So your gas prices appear that they are going to be going up. Ours are. And we look at the same market every day to see where the gas prices compare. These are not your local listings. Check your local listings to see what your local gas prices are and see if they fit into the pattern that we see coming out of the Madison area. Let's grab our finance report on the day. From CNBC, Dow jumps 100 points for its 8th straight winning day, a first since 2019, from Brian Evans and Sarah Min. Stocks rose on Wednesday as corporate earnings season continued, with the Dow registering its longest winning streak in nearly 4 years. The Dow traded 109.28 points higher, or 0.31%, to close at 35,061.21. The S&P climbed 0.24 to 45,65.72, while the Nasdaq added 0.03 to finish the session at 14,358.02. The Dow notched its 8th straight day of gains, its longest winning streak since September 2019. Goldman Sachs reported a miss on profit and beat on revenue on Wednesday, tied to losses in real estate as well as Green Sky. Goldman had previously warned investors that the quarter would likely yield lackluster results. Shares added nearly 1% elsewhere. Shares of U.S. Bancorp and J.B. Hunt popped about 6.5% and 3.7% respectively. Other companies, such as Netflix, Tesla, IBM, and United Airlines, will post earnings after the close. Thus far, the second quarter earnings season is off to a strong start. Of the companies in the S&P that have reported results, 78% have exceeded expectations. According to FactSet data, for many investors, the recent streak of gains bolsters the case for a soft landing scenario. It's an outlook that has gained traction after last week's encouraging inflation data, Meanwhile, we still have hundreds of people being laid off every single day. Bank earnings are better than feared and pushing the episodic crisis from the spring further into the rearview mirror, and thus far continue to trade like a soft landing will occur, said George Catrambone, head of fixed income and trading at DWS Group. The commentary from CEOs mirrors what the retail sales control group told us on today, which is spending is largely intact, despite some credit normalization. Carvana shares climbed 40% after the used car retailer secured a deal to reduce roughly $1.2 billion in debt. The online auto retailer posted its quarterly. Hey, I'm going to talk like Biden for the rest of the episode. Quarterly the results on Wednesday. No, we're not going to do that. Posted its quarterly earnings results on Wednesday, having moved the date of its report up from August 3rd. So that is what we see from the markets. Our layoffs report today comes from U.S. Bank. U.S. Bank imposes mortgage layoffs. From Flavia Furlan Nunez. Minneapolis based U.S. Bank, the fourth largest U.S. mortgage lender, is laying off staffers in its mortgage division this week, as a spokesperson confirmed on Tuesday. The announcement follows a decline in mortgage originations in the first quarter of 2023. The second quarter earnings will be released on Wednesday morning. The current jobs cuts also come amid rumors that depository lenders would see changes to their residential mortgage capital requirements under the Basel III regulations. At U.S. Bank, we make decisions that position us well for today's market and in the future, a spokesperson told Housing Wire. As a result, we've made the difficult decision to reduce resources in certain roles aligned to areas of the business that continue to slow while investing in others where we see growth potential. The spokesperson did not provide further details, such as the number of employees affected. Inside Mortgage Finance first reported the news of the layoffs. U.S. Bank, owned by U.S. Bank Corp., was number 4 among mortgage originators in the U.S. in the first quarter of 2023, according to IMF estimates. However, mortgage volume has been in a free fall. The bank amid surging rates. The bank's total mortgage origination volume reached $9.6 billion from January to March, down 41.7% year over year. The bank tries to maintain a balanced portfolio between retail and corresponding lending. From January to March, the bank originated a $4.47 billion volume in the retail channel and a $5.8 billion through the correspondence channel per IMF estimates. So this is really telling me that we have a healthy economy. Really, honestly, people are running out and buying houses everywhere because our economy is, oh, wait, no, they're laying off mortgage originators. Weird. But we'll see what's happening with that. We're going to start our news for the day talking about the charges. But we've only got one article for this, so the majority of the day will be spent on the whistleblower. The whistleblowers, I should say. There's 2 of them. We're going to read here a tweet from Harry Sisson, paid notable shill for the Biden admin. And this actually probably would have gone to the wayside if the Daily Wire had not reported on this as well. So we have breaking red light. The target letter sent to Donald Trump from the DOJ for January 6 includes 3 federal statutes he may be charged with. 1, conspiracy to defraud the U.S., 2, obstructing an official proceeding, and 3, witness tampering. What's notably absent from this? And this guy. So essentially, Trump is screwed. They've obtained a significant evidence that the DOJ isn't taking this investigation lightly. Here's the reporting confirming this. Which is another tweet. From somebody, by the way, who also has not seen the letters. The letter, rather. So do take this with a gigantic grain of salt. That is something that we do need to pay attention to with this. But what is notably absent from these 3 charges? Seditious conspiracy, insurrection, aiding and abetting foreign enemies of the state, or a host of other things that would actually cause a 14th Amendment bar from running for the presidency. It's all process crime, which, I mean, standard operating procedure at this point. and has been in DC for a very, very long time. But I mean, these are the same little charges that they're pulling most of the January 6 people on. Conspiracy to defraud and obstructing an official proceeding. Which, by the way, obstructing an official proceeding carries way too high of a sentence for what it is. It's 5 years. In the District of Columbia, obstructing an official proceeding is a 5-year felony. And witness tampering, which there's been some talk in the Discord as to whether or not that could actually be proven. I don't necessarily think that it could. But this is a giant, if this is true, if what Harry Sisson is saying, this is a giant pot of absolutely nothing. But realistically, so is what's happening in the documents case. Now, we're supposed to be told, and we are told over and over again, that because the documents left the Mar-a-Lago, it means that he was selling them to the Saudis. They can't provide they can't provide an invoice for this. They can't provide any evidence that it was sold to the Saudis. But trust me, we know that he did. Look at all the money they paid to Jared Kushner. Well, that's speculation. That gets thrown out in court. Really, honestly, what they have on him is process crimes. What do we have here? Process crimes. Adjacency crimes. There was no insurrection, if I'm to believe these three, but we will see what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow was the day that he's set to meet with the grand jury. We've got one from the Daily Wire. Trump target letter outlines 3 federal statutes he potentially violated in alleged efforts to overturn the election, from Ryan Saavedra. The target letter that former President Trump says that he received over the weekend in Special Counsel Jack Smith's federal investigation into his alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election mentions 3 statutes the former president may have violated. ABC News reported that multiple sources confirmed to the publication that the 3 federal statutes include conspiracy to commit offense or to defraud the United States, deprivation of rights under color of law, and tampering with a witness, victim, or an informant. Let's open up the ABC article, just for fun. Because I kind of want to see what this says here. And have we seen the letter? That's the big question, is have we seen the letter? Let's see. Smith has informed Trump by letter he is a target of the investigation. Trump also confirmed the development in a post on his Truth Social platform. The letter, which unnamed sources say was transmitted to Trump's attorneys in recent days, indicates that yet another indictment of the former president could be imminent. The target letter mentions 3 federal statutes. There are no additional details in the letter, and it does not say how the special counsel's office claims Trump may have violated the statutes listed. Sources say, can I see the letter? Because as of right now, I see no evidence for this. We'll see. If this is true, another one, big if true, then that tells me that they have nothing. But we will have to see what's happening with that and where that goes. We're here for different news today. The big news, the whistleblowers. 2 whistleblowers for the IRS dropped their masks and revealed their identities and testified in front of the House Oversight Committee today. Charlie Kirk taking the lead on this one. A tweet from Kirk. The identity of IRS whistleblower X, a 13-year special agent of the IRS, will be revealed today for the first time in sworn testimony before Congress. This was as of 8:58 a.m. this morning, Central Time, of course. The only true time zone. His powerful opening statement regarding the DOJ's alleged obstruction of the Hunter Biden investigation has been released. We do have video of this. I will read Charlie Kirk's statement on this. I've witnessed the corrosion of ethical standards and the abuse of power that threatened our nation. It is within this context that I have chosen to shed light on these actions and expose those responsible. I recognize that while I was present at the start of the investigation and was closely involved with the investigation for roughly 5 years, that I'm just a part of the story. My aim is to address systemic problems that have allowed misconduct to flourish. It is not a call for blame, but a call for accountability and reform. Transparency is the foundation of our democracy. Without it, people lose their trust in the institutions and the Bro, you work for the IRS. Most people don't have trust for you guys to begin with. Especially me, I'm one of them. And the bonds that tie the fabric of our nation start to fray. The American people deserve to know the truth no matter how uncomfortable or inconvenient it may be for either political party. So that is a part of the statement. I believe we have the entire opening statement later on down the stack. There is a PDF of the full statement here. It is 15 pages long. So we're not going to go through a lot of this, but I am going to put this into the Discord if you guys would like to read it. And I'll pop it in the live chat for all the platforms as well. So bear with me for just a moment. And general chat. Into live chat. For Rumble, into live chat for main channels. So guys, do feel free to go check that out at your earliest leisure. There are still some redacted portions of this as well. We have the identity from Fox News. Whistleblower X reveals his identity as IRS Special Agent Joe Ziegler. From Brooke Singman. The identity of anonymous IRS whistleblower alleging political misconduct throughout the Hunter Biden investigation has been revealed. As Special Agent Joe Ziegler, a gay Democrat with more than a dozen years serving within the agency's Criminal Investigation Division. Yes, pay attention to that. That's going to become important later. Ziegler appeared for the first time publicly before the House Oversight Committee on Wednesday alongside his IRS supervisor, Gary Shapley, who has also blown the whistle on political influence surrounding prosecutorial decisions throughout the years-long federal probe into the First Son. He said he is a 13-year special agent within the IRS Criminal Investigation Division and described himself as a gay Democrat married to a man. Not anymore, he isn't. He's going to be run out of that party so fast, he'll be called a cis-straight white supremacist by the end of the week. Ziegler is expected to testify that Hunter should have been charged with tax felony. Not only the tax misdemeanor charge, and that communications and text messages reviewed by investigators may be a contradiction to what President Biden was saying about not being involved in Hunter's overseas business dealing. He is expected to explain the corrosion of ethical standards and the abuse of power that threaten our nation that he has witnessed. Ziegler is also expected to testify in several instances which prosecutors did not follow the ordinary processes, slow-walk the investigation, and put in place unnecessary approvals and roadblocks. From effectively and efficiently investigating the case, including prosecutors blocking questioning and interviewing Hunter's adult children. Ziegler is also expected to ask Congress and the Biden admin to consider a special counsel for the Hunter investigation and all related cases and spin-off investigations that have come forward from this investigation. Chances of that? Bagel. He is expected to testify that Congress should consider establishing an official channel for federal investigators to pull the emergency cord and raise the issue of the appointment of special counsel for consideration by your senior officials. Shapley, who's participated in multiple media interviews since the House Ways and Means Committee released his transcribed interview last month, is expected to testify that prosecutors had decided to conceal some evidence from the investigators that they found on Hunter's laptop. Shapley is also expected to say that the Delaware U.S. Attorney's Office slow-walked steps like conducting interviews, serving document requests, and pursuing physical search warrants in California, Virginia, and Delaware until after the 2020 presidential election. The warrants were ready as early as April 2020, but the Delaware USAO pushed them off until after the November 2020 election, and then never pursued them, Shapley will say. So, there is a lot of stuff going on here. A lot of stuff happening. Now, as far as where I look at this, I actually am kind of in favor of having this dropped. Because the big part of this is this comes out into being a politically divisive issue. Whether or not you believe Hunter is guilty. The same question I have about Hunter's guilt is the same one that's brought up. It's the same question I have about people who want to lock up Trump and throw away the key. The people who want anybody who has ever been associated with Trump locked up and throw away the key. And the people who thought that Hillary was going to get locked up. And that is, I want you to bring me a judge who was appointed by either Barack Obama, Donald Trump, or Joe Biden himself, who is objective enough to take the case. Who can actually effectively take the case without recusal. Remember, and this is a big reminder for you, the vast majority of the judiciary right now, on the Supreme Court level, and even down into the lower court levels on the federal judiciary, which this is a federal case, were appointed by either one Barack Hussein Obama, one Donald John Trump, or one Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. There are a few outliers that were appointed by W, and I think there might still be a couple stragglers from Clinton's tenure. But for the most part, our judiciary is filled with appointees from Obama and Trump. Obama from having 8 years, and Trump from having the speed pass to get people through. And then the few from Biden as well. So I do have questions about that and how this can possibly be investigated and tried fairly. And yes, that's important to me. And we've already seen how special counsels go. Depending on who appointed them, they become a political arm for whoever the department is. Hence why we see Jack Smith doing the things that he's doing. Oh, but he prosecuted Kerry back in the day. Yes, if I remember correctly, that was long before his wife, which I don't even know if they were married at the time, released a glowing biopic of Michelle Obama. So that is where we sit on that. Daily Wire focusing on the identity politics, especially given the fact that they decry identity politics. Whistleblower X is a gay Democrat, hopes to be a good example for LGBTQIRA, MIGIXTBYAEIOU, sometimes Y people, from Daniel Chayton. The mysterious whistleblower X is set to testify before a House committee about federal investigation of Hunter Biden on Wednesday, and he's a gay Democrat that says he wants to set a good example for the alphabet community. The 13-year special agent with the IRS Criminal Investigation Division, the whistleblower, was publicly identified as Joseph Ziegler when he appeared to testify alongside his supervisor, Garrett Shapley, not Shapley, if they misspelled that in here, concerning the alleged mishandling of the probe into President Biden's son. His 15-page opening statement, published on the House Oversight Committee website ahead of the hearing set for 1300 hours Eastern Time, mostly addresses the investigation but also makes little room to address the issue of identity politics and argues against the idea that he might be a traitor to his party. Let's watch.
I've recently discovered that people are saying that I must be more credible because I'm a Democrat who happens to be married to a man. I'm no more credible than this man sitting next to me due to my sexual orientation or my political beliefs. The truth is, my credibility comes today from my job experience with the IRS and my intimate knowledge of the agency's standard and procedures. I was raised and have always strived to do what is right. Although I do have my supporters, others have said that I am a traitor to the Democratic Party and that I am causing more division in our society. I implore you to consider that if you were in my position with the facts as I have stated them, ask yourself if you would be doing the exact same thing. I hope that I am an example to other LGBTQ people out there who are questioning doing the right thing at the potential cost of themselves and others.
Mo says he is a member of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. This is one of the things, by the way, that I hate about how divisive our politics have become. Now, in reality, he wants to say that who he votes for doesn't change anything. That has more potential in today's divided political structure, who he voted for, because, I mean, and I've said this before, we're on two religions theory at this point. If you support one political party, you believe that the head of the other political party is the great Satan, and the head of your political party is God. Meg, I'm talking to you too. Just keep that in mind. Whereas if you go the other way, and it's the same thing. The people who support Biden think that Trump is the devil and Biden is God. The people that support Trump think that he's God and Biden is the devil. The people that support DeSantis think that DeSantis is God and that Trump is the devil. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. So yes, I can see who you vote for takes a bearing off of this, but to borrow a phrase from my good friend, the R-rated conservative, what the fuck does it matter if he likes to suck a fucking prick or not? I don't see where that matters at all. So that is where we are at on this one, but we've got a lot more to go through on this. From NPC News, IRS whistleblowers testify before House Oversight Committee about Hunter probe. A little bit on this one from Rebecca Shabbat and Rebecca Kaplan. A pair of whistleblowers testified Wednesday afternoon before the House Oversight Committee about the alleged meddling in the DOJ's investigation of Hunter. The hearing before the GOP-led panel featured testimony from Gary Shapley, an agent from the IRS's Criminal Investigation Division, and Joe Ziegler, who worked as the agency's International Tax and Financial Crimes section. Committee Chairman Jim Comer said the two witnesses had critical information to share about the panel's investigation into what he alleged is the Biden family's influence peddling schemes. In his opening statement, Shapley said that his red line was observing U.S. Attorney David Weiss of Delaware, who oversaw the Hunter case, tell a room full of senior FBI and IRS investigators on October 2022 that he was not the deciding person on whether the charges are filed. Shapley said he raised concerns during the meeting and that 2 weeks later the IRS was entirely cut out of the case by the DOJ. Boomboxes, I didn't catch your message earlier, I'm sorry. I was apparently blocked from commenting today by Charlie Kirk. Yeah, Charlie Kirk has got really, really thin skin. He's got a really small face too, but we don't go after physical attributes here. We go after the character and the stupid shit that they say. And they do say a lot of stupid shit. Weiss has disputed Shapley's allegations, writing in a letter to Jim Jordan, chairman of the Judiciary Committee, in late June, that he was granted ultimate authority in terms of where, when, and whether to file charges in the case. Shapley, in his prepared remarks, was highly critical of Weiss and Attorney General Garland for not appearing before Congress to address the case and accused them of using their offices and your tax dollars to put carefully crafted, narrow non-denials that have confused rather than clarified to the public, all without being subject to cross-examination on the facts. Yeah, cross is really important at this point. And I do think that's a big part of the reason that we had the plea deal, the misdemeanor, and the suspended sentence, is because I do think that these people would get absolutely crushed in cross. In fact, I'd kind of like to see it, honestly. Excuse me. Ziegler said in his opening statement that he was the lead IRS case agent on the Hunter investigation and that the IRS had recommended both felony and misdemeanor charges against the president's son. I have reason to believe that there was gross mismanagement present throughout the investigation. Oh, gross. That there was a gross waste of funds relating to their tax dollars spent on investigating the case. That's really gross, but I mean, that's what our government does all the time, is waste our taxpayer dollars. And that there was an abuse of authority with the DOJ, tax, and the Delaware U.S. Attorney's Office, he said in prepared remarks. Jordan, who's also a member of the Oversight Committee, said the witnesses' testimony had been consistent and that they should be believed instead of the DOJ because they have more than a decade of experience in criminal investigations and are experts on international tax evasion cases. I think I believe these guys, Jordan said. I think they're the ones telling the truth. Jamie Raskin said in his opening remarks that Hunter Biden made foolish and criminal choices, including failing to pay his taxes and owning a firearm in the violation of federal law. But, he said, Hunter is now being held criminally accountable. No, he is absolutely not. If any of the rest of us did this, we would be in a cell, nervously walking around Big Bubba, especially in the shower. One thing you will not hear today is any evidence of wrongdoing by President Biden or his administration, Raskin added, saying that the effort by Republicans to create a scandal about the president is a complete and total bust. Well, we'll keep seeing. Odd! From Fox News, CNN and MSDNC skipped the live coverage of IRS whistleblower hearing on explosive Hunter Biden probe claims. Now, Fox has been accused of doing the same thing, going the other direction, so do keep that in mind. C-SPAN does always carry all of this kind of stuff, so